in case you confused it with New York State, as if that's a thing. No one but Loki sees this. And sure, maybe they send this in the CinemaSins video, but if you expect me to cross-reference Marvel TV sins with Marvel CinemaSins, you have grossly overestimated the amount of work I'm willing to do today. Loki, logos go slow. Flow so low, though solo, left me loco, so I loathe the show. This condensation is never seen or heard from again in this episode. Pay off your setups, Marvel. This location title did help me realize the brightness setting on my TV was way too high, but even after correction, I refuse to believe that this font color on this background passed any sort of contrast ratio test. This muzzle is just easily removable? Is that part of the design? It's not like it's really attached anywhere, so why didn't it fall off? You know, like the handcuffs apparently did.
I am Loki.
Roll commercial.
And I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Fine, go ahead, get the episode title in there too. Now you get a double roll commercials and an extra sin for interrupting me.
You're now moving at 1/16th speed, but feeling all that pain in real time.
Mondays. Also, this is great on a couple levels. Loki getting served, and the comical way it goes on for too long and you realize it's not just slow motion, but Loki's time is actually slowed down. But still, and more importantly, can there be a difference in the speed at which someone feels pain? Especially blunt force trauma to the head. That's what really needs to be explained. I love the design of this show, truly, but this department with all sorts of time tech is using a clunky industrial age robot for intake. My cognitive dissonance is rising, and you know how much I hate my own cognitive dissonance.
Absolutely not. This is fine Asgardian leather.
A robot that may or may not be sentient attempts to use the creepy pinchers before using the much faster and more efficient disintegration ray. This particular robot arm.
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said.
This sets up a clever joke, but what's the point of it? First, even if they tried to read it all, there's no way anyone could verify what they've said. And second, why would it matter to the TVA to have your acknowledgement anyway? Hiddleston clearly only signs the final sheet here, even though he was asked to sign all three. Make him sign all three like you said. Is this a scathing satire of bureaucracy or not?
Take a ticket.
What is this, a deli? No.
Kids.
Welcome to the Time Variance Authority.
Exposition via Q-Line video featuring a cute animated mascot, otherwise known as Jurassic Park's Position. Except there it made more sense, since it was at an actual amusement park.
The TVA has stepped in to fix your mistake and set time back on its predetermined path.
I'm going to have to remove a sin for cleverly introducing us to the very morally questionable act of erasing timelines. Is there even a word for what TVA is doing? Chronocide? Murderverse? Whatever it is, I give him an A+ for introducing this incredibly devious premise with this cheeky cartoon.
Created a Nexus event, which left unchecked could branch off into madness.
You mean like the Nexus mentioned in WandaVision could lead to the multiverse of madness? Marvel, you've done it again! And by it, I mean throw so many Easter eggs at me that I'm now numb to what reality even is anymore.
Mon ami, il est imbécile.
Owen Wilson speaking French.
Sir, there's something you'll want to see.
The worst kinds of you better take a look at this cliches are the ones that are self-evident. You traveled through time to bring him this file. You're handing it to him. I think he's well aware that you might consider it something he'd want to see.
Laufeyson. Variant L1130, aka Loki Laufeyson, is charged with sequence violation 72089. How do you plead?
No explanation of the charges against Loki is given at this trial. I vehemently disagree with the lack of transparency in the judicial processes employed by the TVA. Good thing this is only fiction, huh? As Owen Wilson arrives late to this trial, I just have to ask, if this place exists outside of time, how does it operate within its own time? Like, why would Owen never be late to anything? Couldn't he just come back from ancient France at a time that would get him to the trial in a more punctual manner? How are people who travel through time on a daily basis ever late for anything?
We're not here to talk about the Avengers.
Marvel pleading with audiences to love anything after the Infinity Saga somehow makes it into the episode.
I thought there was no magic here. Where is it?
Most of what we see looks a lot like a massive space station. Considering all the fantastical stuff we've seen so far in the MCU, are we supposed to be awed by this? Why a scene?
The idea that your little club decides the fate of trillions of people across all of existence at the behest of 3 space lizards, yes, it's funny. It's absurd.
Loki would be glorious at TVSins.
For the record, this really does feel like a killing me kind of a room.
Does it? I mean, it does kind of have a brutalist vibe that I'm not a fan of. However, it's balanced out by warm tones and some interesting mid-century modern accent pieces, not to mention the baseboard lighting. If I were murdered in this room, it would be completely my fault for misreading the situation. Can we get some rules on this reset collar thing? Does it send the person back a certain number of seconds to a predetermined geolocation? Because over the course of the show, it will somehow do both.
The timekeepers have built quite the circus. And I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection.
Big metaphor guy. I love it.
Wilson and Hiddleston are so good in this scene and show that I have to take a sin off. But Mobius's responses to Loki are a never-ending loop of being excellent at TVSins. So I'm kind of stuck in a catch-22 here. Which, of course, is our way of saying that the show's gonna catch 22 sins here for making me question my ability to do my job. Sorry, them's the rules.
What is this?
It's a fancy reverse expositional device. We call it the Previously on the MCU machine. And for the next 30 minutes, it's going to do all the plot's heavy lifting in increasingly more and more convenient ways.
Didn't the Avengers come together to literally avenge him by defeating you?
Little solace to a dead man.
Sure, but actually Fury Kree-corpsed him back to life with Project Tahiti. Sorry, Tahiti, so that he could keep working. You going to mention that, oh great timekeeper? We won't stand for agents of Sahit Eld erasure around these parts.
Do you enjoy hurting people? Making them feel small?
YouTube commenter recruitment ads. Yes, this is mischievous, but if Loki and Thor were going to go through the trouble of putting together this whole scheme just for the thrill of it, I feel like Loki especially would have requested something more interesting than paper currency. I'm not sure what we have here that would appeal to an Asgardian, but $200,000 seems like it wouldn't be worth their time. This TVA logo is actually kind of badass with its old school feel and the hidden hourglass between the V and the A. Am I about to take a sin off for excellent graphic design? The Sacred Sin line deems it so, apparently. But also, when I said hidden between the V and the A, I immediately thought of taints. So the Sacred Sin line gives and the Sacred Sin line takes away, I guess. The Times Position device is apparently using the same camera movement from the movie. Why? Is Seamus McGarvey the DP of the Sacred Timeline as well?
What are you doing?
My job. Is it yours to interrupt?
Yes.
Mischievous scamp.
Right? Not only is he a great pickpocket, but he quickly figured out how to use the time device that, for some reason, was built without any safety or security features.
How do you not know what a fish is?
I lived my entire life behind a desk.
This is not an acceptable answer. You can be taught about things that you will never experience. It's basically the whole reason the Kama Sutra even exists. Also, Casey is a liar. Are you behind your desk right now, Casey? Are you? Case closed.
Infinity Stones?
Oh, come on. Sure, it's a funny joke that they're worthless here and have many versions discarded through time, but just because they hold no power here doesn't mean they wouldn't be protected from someone getting a hold of them and using them back in the sacred timeline. For beings charged with protecting time, their evidence processing system is less organized than my desk drawer in elementary school. No one in this scene is concerned about the obvious variant standing unaccompanied by any sort of security force in the middle of this office. This leads me to believe that either this sequence of events is expected or that every one of these workers is burnout and no longer gives two about the sacred timeline. Hunter B-15 is a dick to office supplies and has absolutely zero concern in regard to possibly killing her coworker. The company culture here is atrocious. This episode is all about this version of Loki reckoning with the misdeeds of his past and the loss of a life that he will no longer be able to live. Sure, it's well written and performed beautifully, but I can't help but feel like the overall goal here is to reshape this Loki into the one that died in Infinity War. This Loki has to experience a quickie evolution, as if it's his character arc that is somehow sacred. Convenient fast forward to this exact moment is convenient. You know, this would be pretty cool if we understood how any of this actually worked, but you just keep rocking that pointless remix, Diploki.
The variant we're hunting is you.
Oklahoma doesn't exist. No, seriously, in 1858, the state of Oklahoma didn't officially exist. It didn't become a state until 1907.
Thanks for visiting the TVA. Don't hesitate to let us know how we're doing.
You made me sit through 6 minutes of credits to hear this one lousy question is how I'm doing, you time-juggling chrono bastards.
You've just been erased.
This is fine Asgardian leather.
Corinthian leather? Of course, why not the best?
100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes, just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals.
Tu sais qui a fait ça?
Could it be
Welcome to Alpha, the city of 1,000 planets.
Why does someone with so much range just want to rule?
It's really not that complicated. I got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out.
What exactly is it that you want?
I'll tell you one thing that really drives me nuts is people that think that Jethro Tull is just a person in the band.
Give me the Tesseract or I'll gut you like a fish, Casey.
What's a fish?